Welcome to Real Talk, a podcast on well-being. My name is Tracy Davis, and I'm the director of the Academy for Workforce Development.
And today I am so happy to have my co-host, my partner in crime, Lanisa Matthew, with me. And then we also have a returning guest, Nicole McKelvey, who's here today to talk to us a little bit about holiday support. So welcome, Nicole.
Hi. Oh, it's so good to see you, ladies. Thanks so much for having me back.
Wow, it's going to be good.
Oh, thanks. Good to see you both.
Thanks for agreeing to help us out this time. This particular topic became near and dear to me as I think about the past few months and support that individuals or people might need as the holidays approach. And when we think about holiday support, many people don't know where to turn, especially having experienced the loss of loved ones or transitions that have occurred throughout life. And so, Nicole, Lanisa and I thought you'd be the best person to really talk to our audience about this work. Wouldn't you agree, Lanisa?
Oh, absolutely. Love this opportunity.
You guys are super kind. Thanks so much for having me back. I know Lanisa and I got a chance to talk about this content a couple of weeks ago. And, Tracy, I think you're so right. It's such a mixed bag, right? I think the holidays are it's supposed to be, the song goes, right? It's the most wonderful time of the year. Right. And so it's that stereotypical or the pressure that society puts on us. Everything's supposed to be perfect and magical, but it's not always that way. And there are times when we have struggles at home, personal life, at the office, and it could be a real mixed bag of emotions.
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
And so, Nicole, with your clinical background, can you speak to us about what holiday support means to you and the importance and impact it has on well-being?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, I think that it's important, and we're going to get into some tips and some strategies, but I think we have to let go of the fantasy. Right, that nothing is perfect, right? There's no postcard. And it's really hard for us because there's no switch, right, that we could just turn on or off. Here at the department, we have the 24-hour operations, right? We've got our two soul knits, the care line, and the regional office. So we really literally never know what's around the next corner.
Right.
And I think that for a lot of us at the department, right, we work long hours, right? And so when I think about the idealized version, it's, we're working these long hours and then we're going home to our families, our partners, our loved ones, our kids, and we want things to be great for them and perfect for them, but it isn't always that way.
Yeah, I think you actually lead into such a good point, and really what we say here, the real talk, because it's not a switch, right? And then there is how do we work on accepting our new norm, whatever that might be in our lives at that moment for that holiday, or also what that owning the imperfection in a time of what's supposed to be festive and joyous, but yet it's okay that it's may not live up, quote unquote, to this way that we've imagined it to be or supposed to be. But every season brings different new norms, I guess. And what does that look like? And how do we create it together with your loved ones at work, even our work family, or, in each different compartments that we do sometimes have to create? How do we walk through it instead of run away from it? So,
gosh, that's so beautiful. How do we walk to it and not run away from it? That's so lovely. I think, Tracy, you were sort of alluding to this at the beginning when you talked about how so many people have lost loved ones, and the holidays can be so hard because, again, it's this mixed emotions of it's the holidays, I'm supposed to be happy, but then it's like, oh my God, I'm sad, because For many of us, it might be the first anniversary of this is my special holiday, and now this person's not at the table, and it's the first time. Or maybe it's the 10th time, and it's just as hard as the first time. You just don't know. It can be up and down. And, Lisa, you and I had a chance to chat right before, and I think one of the strategies is connecting to the good times, connecting to the good memories, and stopping. I think we have to be really intentional to help ourselves, right? And make a plan and know that it's going to be up and down. And, we might have new people in our lives, a new partner, or our kids may be little and growing up. How do you keep that person alive and at the table is by not shying away, but talking about them, right? And keeping that. So, that's a strategy. I also think that we have to be kind to ourselves and really give ourselves the grace of not being perfect or always getting it just right. I know for myself, a couple years back, I had a case. It was the day before Christmas Eve, and we had an intimate partner violence case where mom killed dad. He came at her, and that, she just in reaction ended up killing him. It wasn't what she didn't wake up that morning intending to do that. It just happened, and it was horrible. And I took the case. We went out in the field, and we had to tell these two little kids that their father was dead and their mother was locked up. Wow. It was just awful. And so then we were out into the field, late that night. I get home, I walk into the house, and the kids were excited about, what event had happened at school, and they're telling me about all these things. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, how am I going to pull myself together to concentrate and be And I think that's it right there. Be present in the moment.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and accept for me that I was feeling all of these emotions of just being with these two little kids in this tragic situation and with a staff member. And then having to sort of take a breath and say, okay, it's bad. Now I need to attend to my children and my family. Right. So
it speaks to also the switch that you talk about.
Yes.
And that's what I love is that you sharing that example. That's our staff's reality sometimes. And like you said, you can't predict what you're going to walk into, what may show up, what may not. But the beauty of our staff and our agency is that we pull together, we come through, we are there for our children and families. And then like you said too, that commitment and true passion to nurture, care for. Sometimes you get by the time you get home, you're so tired that, but then you got to switch it on. Right. For your own, right? And so how do we start? What I love about really, Tracy, kudos to you for this topic, because this is something that people maybe they shy away from talking about. But really back to Nicole, what you were saying, speaking of the memory, speaking of how you're feeling, speaking of, there's a release somehow versus, again, like I mentioned, not running away from it, but running to it, through it, and then away from it, if that makes sense. Because of the power in which we give to then let it not.
And I think because you were just saying before about the unpredictable nature of our work, because we know it's unpredictable, we have to make a plan.
I like that.
You have to make a plan.
Talking my language. I like that a lot.
And you have to manage expectations. In my family, there's a lot of traditions around food, right? All of our families have these food traditions. And my mother would make 10 different kinds of cookies, right? Well, I can't make 10 kinds of different cookies. And I have to manage that and know that my job doesn't allow for that. So you know what? I'm just as good if I make 2 kinds of cookies.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think, making a plan, managing expectations, and again, being kind.
Yeah, I love what you said about making a plan. When I heard you say that, for me, which I need to walk the walk, is a plan for my well-being. Like, I don't know if I have one, right? Like during the holidays, it's sort of about making sure the checklist's done, X, Y, and Z. We got to hustle, bustle. But then yet, like you said, what if we did plan? What if we did walk in with intentionality, which is harder to do, so I'm not saying that, but maybe we all do it together, right? Of like, okay, hey, let's give this a chance. But anyway, that just stuck out to me. I like that.
I also think the idea of giving back is really helpful. And even at work, how can we, so many of our offices do these toy drives or sponsor a family. Doing something together as a community really does help people feel good. Many of our staff people are connected to a church or their faith, relying upon that, what happens in our communities that we can do and be involved in. And I also think making a little plan for ourselves, even if we get out our calendars and we say, this Saturday, I'm going to carve out 2 hours and I'm going to go do something nice for myself. Whether it's take a walk outside, go get a cup of coffee, go get your nails done, go to a hockey game down at Quinnipiac with a friend, anything.
That's nice. That's nice. And as I sit here and think about what you're mentioning, this isn't even inclusive only of the staff that celebrate holidays, because we also have a lot of staff that don't.
Yeah, well
and
said.
so that ability for them on any other day to make a plan and stick with it, to be able to show up for their families or their loved ones at home once they leave the agency, and the craziness of the work or the day still applies. It still really applies, because everyone should feed into or have that ability to think about self-care. And so what else would you recommend in terms of priorities around self-care? Anything?
Yeah. One of the things that I started doing and I recommend is when you get home, don't get out of the car right away. Right?
Oh, that's good.
It's like, we're all like rushing out of the car and we all have a million bags. Why is it that DCF people we all have 3 bags? It's true. It's the craziest thing. We all have 3 bags and we all have 2 phones. It's crazy. Just taking a second to take a breath, ground yourself, know that maybe your day was good. Maybe your day wasn't good, but that's okay. And now you're going to move on to be with whoever is important in your life. I think that is a very simple strategy.
It's very good.
And again, that's just an easy way to take care of yourself.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
I like that. You did it again, Nicole.
Oh,
you
so
did it
good.
again.
It's so you
good.
ladies are so wonderful for doing this.
This is
Yeah,
lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely.
And so, similar to our last episode, we made a pitch to our audience that if you have a special interest or talent as it relates to self-care or aiding in your well-being, Lanisa and I want to hear from you, because we would love to feature you on the 3rd edition of Real Talk. So please be sure to reach out. And thank you so much again, Nicole.
My pleasure. Thanks, ladies.